and also kind of limits your farming potential as well. And it looks like we are off here, and the uncle echoing the sentiments of the first Zelda game. And we'll see what we have here in the first item, just one of the 24 pieces of heart spread throughout the seed.
Indeed, and of course our runner is going to be doing the standard mode here, so they will be making their way up to Hyrule Castle, going to be lifting the magical floating bush, falling down that hole, and then going into what I believe Scary Olive called last night. I like the name for it, the Uncle Cave, or the Uncle Hole, because Uncle's down there.
We'll see what the Uncle Cave provides our runners here. Our weapon is the hammer, so we have some very valued progression here right from the get-go.
Yes, indeed, and that will be part of the, as I like to call it, the Dark World Starter Kit. So hammer is a welcome item probably for both of our runners to see here. And the other parts of the Dark World Starter Kit, which is what we're looking forward to get around having to go to Aga, would be a lift upgrade and the Moon Pearl. So those three items will give us a little bit of relief from an Aga seed, if that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see the standard sequence here. We'll see how these runners utilize the hammer to try and get a coveted bomb to get the three items out of the escape sequence so they don't have to come back here at a later time. While we're going through this usual sequence here, just some information on how these runners got their respective 3-and-1 records, excuse me. COB defeating Jighart week 1, losing to Lunchtime ATH, which is no thing to be too depressed about, as Lunchtime is currently 5-0. Then turning around defeating Alradris and Astolia to round out his record at 3-1. GanonsGoneWild losing to Pink Kitty Rose in week 1, but turning around and winning 3 in a row against Viper King, Game Guy 888, and Solidus SRL.
That's pretty solid all around there. Both of these runners do have 3-1 records, so when you get to 3-1, you're looking at fairly capable and confident runners, I think, for the most part. And their losses, both the losses that you mentioned, CD, to Kitty and to what was it? Lunchtime. Those two are both excellent runners as well. So no slouches at all.
Certainly not. We see just a small key and a red rupee so far here in the escape sequence, so not a whole lot to go along with this hammer. We'll see what Zelda's cell happens to have as they both get their big key in relative sync, and we do have a bottle with the blue potion, so that gives our runners a little bit of security and the ability to check Sick Kid during their initial Kakariko visit. Indeed,
and Ganon actually got a bomb drop from the green guard in the basement, the third basement there, so he's got a bomb. Cobb does not have one yet. Still plenty of time to farm one up, though.
We'll see if Cobb gets another green guard kill or enough to get one of those small bombs in the drop pool that the green guard apparently has. So we'll see that here in a moment as our runners are, completing the necessary escape sequence here. And yeah, neither of those losses are anything to feel bad about. Indeed, both of those losses coming to very seasoned runners, and so we should be in for a very competitive race here between both these guys.
I would think so. So very interesting to see here what Cobb is going to do once he gets into the sewer escape here. If we'll see him farm up some of these soldiers, no, probably not, but I would not be surprised to see some of the snakes farmed up here in the escape. They're usually in the way anyway, so you gotta kill them.
Absolutely, I would be shocked to see Cobb not kill as many snakes as possible until a bomb drops, for sure. We'll see. Ganon's on 1 heart here, so going ahead and picking up that guaranteed heart there under that pod before descending down towards the snake room.
Indeed. And snake room's always tricky. You'll see a little bit of a difference here in where the snakes go. They all start in the same place, but then each snake kind of does its own little thing, and Worst case scenario is getting just a wall of snakes that you have to deal with.
So far, this bomb being very elusive for Cobb. We'll see if Cobb is okay. He's going to go after these rats here to try and find this coveted bomb, and so far, no luck.
It's just unfortunate here, just with the drops not really working in Cobb's favor at the moment. But another chance to get some here.
Yep, GanonsGoneWild is about to get those 3 items here, so let's see if missing out on these early is going to possibly impact Cobb's racer. We do have a sword, 3 more bombs, and the mirror for GanonsGoneWild. That is quite a steal right there. And unless Cobb finds a bomb from one of these rats, he's going to be without any of those until he finds a glove.
Indeed. And the hope at this point is that it's obviously not an Agaseed, because you're probably not going to find one of those Dark World access items. We've already got the hammer, so it would have to be Pearl or a lift upgrade, and you certainly would not want it to be a lift upgrade. That would not be fun.
And I did not recall, but apparently the map was found at some point, so a piece of heart in the Sanctuary chest for both of our runners. Relatively completing the escape sequence at about the same time, but with GanonsGoneWild having done the extra 3 chests, that's certainly going to be weighing on Cobb's mind until a glove is acquired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a difficult check to get back to. Obviously, it's right outside Sanctuary. It's just something that plays with you in the back of your head, and you're thinking, okay, am I missing something important there? I need to get back there ASAP. And meanwhile, we're seeing Ganon go ahead, both of them doing a tree pull. Both getting the 4 blue rupees. Ganon going and doing Lost Woods first. Cobb's going to do another tree pull and getting bombs this time. Just resetting the...
Yep. A pretty bittersweet pull, I bet, from Cobb at this point, but glad to finally get those bombs. Just a bomb upgrade in the thief's hideout, and the lumberjack ledge not being checked by Cobb, despite going up to the screen where you normally get it. So the lumberjack ledge will remain unknown for the time being.
Indeed, Ganon didn't go up there either. Went and opted to do Lost Woods first. So a little bit, I guess, out of the meta as far as the pathing goes, but not necessarily an awful idea to skip it at the beginning here and just go to Kakariko, see what you get. Maybe check on the way out.
Yeah, certainly a matter of preference on whether you're comfortable in living that unknown. We're going to see Ganon go ahead and see what we have in the 5 blinds hideout items. We will see here we are starting out with a heart container, followed by more bombs for GanonsGoneWild, a drop of 10 arrows, and a red rupee. We'll see what's here in the back as Cobb is making his way to that same hideout here momentarily.
Indeed, and keeping in mind that both our runners do have a potion, just a bottle in general. That will be very helpful because, as you mentioned before, CD, they're going to be able to go ahead and route in Sick Kid early here and not have to worry about that square being kind of hanging out there for a while.
Absolutely. Cobb collecting Blind's hideout's bounty here. Ganon diving into the well. We'll see what we have in these 5 spots.
It will be very interesting to see here as well where our runners are going to go next. A lot of times you'll see runners go to south of Hyrule, but every once in a while there's the flute. That's actually a really convenient find. Basically just going to go outside and activate that, I'm sure. And that will also open up a bunch of things as far as possibilities for where our runners are going to go next.
Absolutely. Certainly, if nothing else, makes traveling to some of the more out-of-the-way locations less of a time constraint for sure. And Ganon definitely activating that flute at this time. Meanwhile, Cobb is just moments away from getting said flute and will subsequently be activating that, I would imagine, like Ganon is doing right now.
Indeed. And at 9.5 minutes, our runners are both going to have access here to East Death Mountain. They'll be able to go... Well, actually, Cobb won't yet. Cobb's going to have to go back to get the mirror, but Ganon will have East Death Mountain access. We'll be able to go up and around via the bridge on top to get to all of the East Death Mountain stuff.
Absolutely. We've yet to see a dungeon check, I believe, from either runner thus far, so we don't know whether Tower of Hera is a crystal or not, but if it is, then that may further sweeten that proposition. Now, they don't have a source of flame yet, but we'll see. We'll see if that plays into their routing calculations here. Meanwhile, Ganon is going to check Sick Kid with that bottle in tow and be rewarded with 5 rupees.
Just some couch cash there from the kid. And we're getting a check there from COB. So we've got a red pendant at Desert Palace, and we've got 2 crystals at Tower of Hera and Eastern Palace. And of course, both of our runners have the Goose Loose, the Drake Awake, and the bird is, I don't know if I say the word, or probably absurd.
Oh, hallelujah. Bird is the word indeed. We got Ganon is going to be coming down here to check the library and the race reward here. Let's see what we have on the bookshelf for Ganon's. It is yet another heart container, so that will probably be sitting there for the duration. As Cobb is getting his 5 rupee thanks from the Sick Kid for that bottle. Let's see what we have at the race here for Ganon's. Just the ability to carry more bombs. So again, we'll be leaving that be while fluting away to checkpoint 7 to get the dam items checked and presumably proceed towards Mini Moldorm.
Indeed, and having that flute really comes in handy there. Don't have to save and quick, go back to Link's house and then walk down there and just flute to 7. A lot quicker, a lot more efficient. And we get to see what is the soggy item today. Just a little bit of love.
Just a little moist quarter of a heart container for your liking there again, and saying no thanks to that on his way to Mini Moldorm, picking up that bomb drop to top off his bomb count to 10, although I believe he has the ability to carry a little bit more than that at this point. We're going to see these Mini Moldorms get dealt with here.
Indeed. One of the nice things about Mini Moldorm Cave, when you get to see it this early, is there's a number of ways to go ahead and get through this, depending on what items you have, and it's always interesting to see what our runners will do. So we're getting a very standard check here from Ganon's, where it's going to be using the sword, and then just walk up and get all 5 of the items here. Cobb's probably going to end up using bombs, I would assume, or maybe the hammer.
And really the only thing of note out of that Mini Moldorm Cave was the Book of Medora, which may point them towards the Desert Palace, although it being a red pendant, that may not be the highest priority in the world, but it is something to consider. Meanwhile, Cobb is going to handle Mini Moldorm here. Let's see how he elects to do it. One slight variation due to the lack of the mirror, Cobb was not able to do the dam in one go. He did have to go back without having the mirror to glitch out the blocks. So a slight cause and effect there from not being able to get those 3 items. Meanwhile, Ganon has elected to flute to Death Mountain and is going to be retrieving the old man here in the dark.
Yeah, fairly standard to see people do this without the lamp. Technically, the game in logic wants you to get the lamp, but very small sequence break here. It's also a fairly easy dark room to do. It's mostly just a single path you follow, and there's essentially one hole you can fall into that you have to be careful of, and you kind of know where it is and just walk around it.
Yep, a very useful dark room to learn, and yeah, it's not that difficult once you get the inputs down whatsoever. Cobb electing to flute to point 8 to check the Ice Rod Cave here. We'll see how Cobb is rewarded for this particular routing play. Meanwhile, Ganon's is going to begin his ascent towards Spectacle Rock.
Just find some bombs in Ice Rock Cave there, and Ganon's making the long walk all the way up to Spectacle Rock here. So there's going to be 2 items here, one on the outside, one on the inside. Ganon's will be able to get both. And I wonder if we'll see a check, just a big 20 up on top of Spectacle Rock. Is there anything good inside? Nope, just 10 arrows.
Cobb fluting to the Desert Palace region, and it looks like he may be going ahead and taking a dive with this book.
Well, it's a little bit of a risk because it could be boots locked, but at the same time, if it's not boots locked, it's a lot of it's clearable. won't be able to complete the whole thing without a fire source, but you can probably get most of the chests if the compass or the map is sitting there up on the torch.
Ooh, a huge find. Ganon utilizing the book to learn the contents of the Ether Tablet, and we have learned that it is the Cane of Samaria.
Well. That's very likely going to be required here. So we will certainly be probably coming back to that.
Yeah, unless there's literally one combination of two pendants being at Meyer and TR, that is likely going to be a required item, failing that statistical improbability. Ganon's checking the lobby chest of Tower of Hera, getting the big key. Meanwhile, Cobb getting the Ether Medallion out of Desert Palace here. So that's one of the two items right there.
Indeed, not too shabby to find that.
And there's the Moon Pearl.
Moon Pearl. Oh my goodness, that is... I like how we said that in sync.
Yep. Apologies, sir. Didn't mean to speak over you there, but I couldn't hold back. That is quite the find for Cobb. This seemingly risky play is paying off dividends for Cobb here. It may be a while before Ganon's decides to check Desert Palace at this rate with all of Death Mountain at his disposal.
Indeed, and no worries about the sync. I think it just made it that much more dramatic when that Moon Pearl popped out of that chest. That was unexpected. And that's a good find for Cobb because still needing the lift upgrade here, but 2/3 of the way to having Dark World access and not having to worry about Aga. That's very nice.
Cobb getting a decent rupee payout out of Agina's Cave. Meanwhile, Ganon's getting a single rupee payout out of the Tower of Hera big chest. That puts Cobb at over the amount required for Zora. Now that's maybe a little bit out of the way, but with the Moon Pearl, we may be seeing a fake flipper here coming up.
Certainly possible. Instead, we're going to see a play over to Eastern Palace. I guess we're going to see a Sarsaparilla check. Probably we'll find out the location of the green pendant just by talking to our old sage friend here.
We'll see if Ganons can take care of Moldorm with 3 strategic pounds of the hammer. There's the first one, as the hospital is now being visited by Cobb.
Indeed. Two bosses, both M, both fairly trolly. What's the difference, really? Nicely done there on Ganon's part with the hammers, using the tiny hammer hitbox on the tiny hitbox of Moldorm, and only 300 rupees, so he's keeping all the cash for himself. Dang, Moldorm.
So you had the smallest and the largest rupee payout in Hera. Nice 301 rupees for your troubles. Cobb now entering Eastern Palace. Not going to be able to fully clear it with the current arsenal, but should be able to at least get at minimum 3 of the 4 chests, provided dark room navigation is in the cards. Meanwhile, Ganon's is crossing the bridge with the hammer to check the remainder of Light World Death Mountain.
Indeed. Actually, if Cobb can do the dark room, he'll be able to get all but the last item drop on the Armos Knights. Should be able to do, because the big key, there's the big key, in fact, right there. Because the big key is guaranteed to be out in front. You need to get to the Armos Knights in the back, so no way logically that it could be on the Armos Knights.
Absolutely. Ganon's Gone Wild making the leisurely stroll round and round Spiral Cave. We'll see what awaits Ganon's here at the end of this little swirl as Cobb is heading towards the Eastern Palace chest.
Kind of think both our runners were wishing they had a hook shot right about now.
Ganon's getting a little piece of hearts while Cobb getting a full heart container and their respective locations here. Ganon's going to be checking the Paradox Cave locations here momentarily.
Pretty good play here from Ganons. You have East Death Mountain access, whole bunch of chests up here. Why not go ahead and check them, get them out of the way right now? And it is in part 2 because if you have to come all the way back up here, you've got to walk all the way from the old man's cave. Ooh, that's very nice. getting a Master Sword for his trouble in one of the first 2 chests.
Make that 2 sword upgrades for Ganons versus the none for Cobb thus far. That's going to be quite the advantage for some time, I feel. Let's see what we have here. We have yet another heart container as 5 rupees are being collected. We have the hook shot, Paradox Cave, and follow that up with another heart piece and the lamp as well.
Well, logically, I believe you're supposed to go to Paradox Cave first, or the game wanted you to. Obviously, you don't have to, but now they've got the lamp, and that should ease some of the concerns about the dark rooms that any of them might have. And Cobb's going to go ahead and do a Fake Flipper. We get to see what's perhaps over here.
Setting up Fake Flipper without a sword to give you a visual cue. Very tricky here. I did not see what Ganon saw at the island. Unfortunately, hopefully Cobb will show us that for me here momentarily.
Hope so as well. I've seen a lot of runners are now starting to use the bombs and the edge of the screen transition to set that up. Just a 5-bomb upgrade. Can skip the hobo for now and just swim on down here. Can't say it's a bad idea.
Cobb narrowly avoiding getting hit by the Zora there. Any sort of damage while you're in the Fake Flipper state will send you to a game over to avoid you otherwise being soft locked, which would otherwise be the case under the normal ROM. We're going to see Cobb enter the waterfall cave, quickly exit, return to activate the walking on water glitch, if you will. And we'll see what we have here in the waterfall cave. Just a bomb upgrade, but a progressive armor upgrade to go along with that. So a decent find there for Cobb.
I think so. We only have 6 hearts. Everything hits a little bit less now. You have a little more health, I guess you can say. And if you're going to go into the Dark World next, having that blue tunic versus having the green one is going to be a significant advantage, at least until the next progressive armor upgrade is found.
And certainly without any sort of sword to defend yourself, any sort of defensive upgrade of any kind will be appreciated. Cobb seeing just a heart piece on the Zora ledge, so not being able to access that's not going to be too big of a deal. Let's see what Zora offers for 500, just a 4% refund.
Ah, well, that's a shame. It's a 4% life lesson tonight.
Ganon's now retracing Cobb's steps through Eastern Palace, while Cobb is now doing his subsequent Death Mountain foray here. Not getting the old man, which is going to not impact him, actually. Taking some damage. Despite that mail upgrade, still going to take 1 full heart from these falling rocks, so needs to be careful.
Indeed, you got to be really careful of the falling rocks, or as some people like to refer to them because of their green hue, call them the falling cabbage. But yeah, Cobb will probably go ahead and I would assume do a very similar Tower of Heraclear without having that fire source. Well, actually, the same quit. Oh, he doesn't have the beer. That's right. Yes.
Yeah, he's locked out, actually. Now, something that just came to my mind. I'm wondering if it would have behooved Ganon's to go back and pick up the Cane of Samaria once he had the Master Sword upgrade, because that's still sitting up there, and he could have collected that, actually. So it's going to be curious to see if that costs him in any way.
Well, yeah, it'll be fairly interesting. Actually, Cobb's going to go the long way. So for those of you who've never seen what the long way looks like, going back to sewer, this is it. Cobb's going to unfortunately do it, but it's going to be the right play here. He'll get his mirror and his sword right off the bat. And so that will probably open back up Death Mountain for him and Tower of Hera.
We still have just a few more places, I think, to check, but we may have to see we may be getting an Aga fight here coming up shortly at this point with the Master Sword and the Lamp. They have the requirements to get into Agnum's Tower here, and that may be what's in the cards here for our runners eventually.
Yeah, that certainly could be the case. Still looking for that lift upgrade. That's the choke point right now for both of our runners, because Desert Palace not finishable without the upgrade, and it doesn't have an additional item in it anyways. But Ganons will be making the journey out there just to see what is out there. He's got the book. Actually, gonna go to Agina first, and then make the trip.
And I would not want to be in Cobb's shoes right now as he discovers what he was not able to get at first. And I guess at this point, Cobb is just hoping that that Ganons had similar experiences during his escape. We unfortunately know otherwise.
So next question will be, will somebody go check Hobo? We haven't seen Hobo yet. Can Fake Flipper over there?
Absolutely. It is a sequence break due to the fake flippering, but it certainly is available if they'd elect to do so. We're going to have Ganons go ahead, get to these Desert Palace items here with the Moon Pearl, and that's going to pretty much be the long and short of it as far as what can be checked here in the Light World, unless I am missing something otherwise.
I don't think we are. I think we're probably looking at an Agaseed. Obviously, having what Ganons has with the lamp and the Master Sword's enough to get you in there. It's going to be a very interesting question to see what does Ganons do next. Does Ganons make the play over to Zora? Does he decide that, alright, I don't like my chances of that, so I'm just going to go do Aga right now? It's an interesting play possibility here. Could pull a bit more of a gap here, or if Ganons goes ahead and follows in Cobb's shoes, while Cobb's following in his shoes, our runners could be converging on Aga around the same time. There we go. We get a crystal check. Red crystals at Meyer and Pod. Thieves Town's a blue pendant, and Turtle Rock is green pendant.
So that means this Canis Samari here and the Ether tablet will absolutely be required to complete Meyer. But TR being a green pendant, that could lead to some interesting troll variations if the seed wants to be rather rude. It looks like Ganons is going to go ahead and leave Zora for later, and looks like making going straight to Aghanim at this point.
Yeah, it's very interesting because Cobb's going to have the possibly going to have the Master Sword. Does Cobb go ahead and get that Canis Samaria first, and then maybe check this? I probably can't check because I don't have the lift upgrades, but it does at least give him an item that Ganons won't have for a little bit longer.
Yeah, maybe with the knowledge that it will be it is part of the Go Mode shopping list. Maybe Cobb will decide to get it, or maybe just elect to leave it for a later time like Ganons. Very interesting decision for Ganons to go ahead and leave Zora for later, with just one item away from Dark World access. It's me personally, I make sure everything is checked before making the investment into Aghanim's Tower. It is going to benefit Ganons here in this case, but very curious for Ganons to go ahead and take that risk. In this case, it's going to pay off for him in this particular scenario.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just take a guess and it turns out to be the right thing, and sometimes it turns out to be the absolute wrong play. And really, you won't know until it's too late if it's wrong, and you won't know if it's right until you beat the seed and you're talking with the guy you were running.
Yep, such is the nature of Randomizer, for sure. Cobb is entering the Moldorm Arena here. Let's see how he handles the Hammer Moldorm kill here, as Ganons is just making his ascension towards Aghanim.
Yeah, I would suspect that Cobb will go ahead now and just do East Up Mountain with all of the chests that are out there will be rewarded in getting that Master Sword. Cobb's getting checked, so Cobb will also know that this is the Cane of Samaria, which, again, that will be interesting to see, knowing that not necessarily Turtle Rock's required, but that Mire is required. How soon does Cobb decide to go get it before going to Aga?
Indeed, here as Ganons is just a few rooms away from initiating that fight. We'll see how many blue balls the seed has elected to bestow upon our two racers here.
Bugnet up on the floating island, so Troll Prize is going to probably stay up on that island for the entire match. It'll be interesting to see how many blue balls we get. The maximum number for a run in which you reflect back every shot that comes at you is 15. But obviously, most people never get to 15. I believe we're at 2 so far.
Indeed, we are at 2 so far, and this next one is guaranteed to be a reflectable shot, which we get right back into Ganon's face, or Agnum's face, pardon me.
3.
Four. The count goes up here for Ganons. We're at 4. Let's see. I think we're going to be at 4 here because I think, nope, we have a chance for yet even more.
Yep. Yeah, if you notice there for a moment, Ganon's actually, I think, might have lost track of how many shots Aghanim had taken, because Aga ended up floating up to the top for his 4th shot, and Ganon's kind of flinched and moved a little bit up, like thinking, oh, it's lightning bolt coming at me, and then he realized, wait a minute, no, it's not.
Nice bomb jump by Cobb to get across that gap so he can quickly get to the top of Death Mountain here. And while we did see just a red rupee there on the pyramid ledge, but we'll see where Ganon decides to go here now that he has full access. Looks like a straight dive to the Cave of Hype, which clearly understandable with the high density of items here in this area. We'll see if it lives up to its name or if it's just yet another misnomer.
And Cobb is going to get that cane. So probably going to go to Aga after this, but going to pick up that cane of Samaria first. Now he's got that Master Sword.
See if we can get a lift upgrade out of this Hive Cave. So at this point, let's see what these 5 locations have. We start out with just another trio of bombs. There's the other mail upgrade, so both runners having their own respective mail grades, and the Cane of Burna that we were talking about at the start of this whole thing. So, I guess, at best.
Yeah, well, it's Cane of Burna was nice. It's a nice safety item, and it opens up, with the hammer, it opens up Spike Cave eventually. But I'll say at least a 5. Mail upgrade and Cane of Burna. It's not too bad. Safety cave tonight, I guess you could say.
And Ganon's making an immediate play for the Bombos tablet. Very understandable given the current set of items at his disposal here. We'll see if this pays off for him.
I like it too because it's a hard to route and check a lot of times. So if you're not, if you're there, you might as well do it. Maybe just came back from Hype Cave. Or more often than not, people will do it when they go drop off the lunchbox.
Yep, but without one of the both glove upgrades to do the lunchbox quest, certainly understandable to go ahead and get this checked. It only offers a bomb upgrade, though.
And Duck is going to take him away. So, see Ganons go back into the Dark World. The hookshot will allow him to get across here and go to the Village of Outcasts. Kind of wonder if that's what the next play is. Get some of those Village of Outcasts locations checked, and Thieves Town's a pendant, but still there's 4 items in there. Maybe you want to dip in there real quick and see if you can pull something out of the early chest.
I'm curious to see if he decides to. Well, actually, no. Catfish is impossible without a lift upgrade. What am I talking about? So this is just going to be a hook shot across the gap.
And not having boots, I think, will also mean. I'm trying to remember. No, they might still be able to do. Yeah, they should still be able to do Graveyard Ledge.
Yep, just have to make the rather looping route through the graveyard, through this very obscure method of reaching the Graveyard Ledge, but it is possible even without gloves, as long as you have the mirror at your disposal here. So Ganons is going to go ahead and check that here. Let's see what Graveyard Ledge has. Cobb in the process of doing his Aghanim completion here as well.
I like this as well from Ganons, just because, like Bombo's Tablet, very out of the way spot, not easy to route in, especially if you don't have boots, because you're not going to King's Tomb or dashing across. Only a big 20, but having that peace of mind out of the way that, you know, I don't have to come back here and do all this again.
Absolutely, these northern Dark World locations are can be tricky to smoothly route into your routing here. So any opportunity you have to collect them is preferred. You'd like to get them all in one fell swoop, but obviously the seed is not going to accommodate that particular desire. So we're going to have Ganons go ahead and flute back to Kakariko here, and perhaps it looks like we're getting a pedestal check here.
You know, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. You never know.
With Turtle Rock being a pendant, that really limits the possible options that could be at the pedestal, but it looks like we're going to try to access this warp portal, but without a lip upgrade, I'm not sure that's going to work out too well for Ganons.
Indeed. So one of the things to keep in mind for pedestal is that he was actually going to that. I wonder if he'll try and no, he's gonna go ahead and swag deck out of there. But one of the things to keep in mind with pedestal is an item that is needed to clear a pendant dungeon cannot be on the pedestal, just because of logic and all of that. So, yeah, with Turtle Rock requiring the most items of any of the dungeons to complete before you go into it, there's a lot of things that are not going to be on that pedestal tonight. So, roughly what can be on there with Desert Palace, Thieves Town, and Turtle Rock as the items here.
The one thing that comes to mind would be the Meyer medallion, possibly, if it's not the same medallion that Turtle Rock requires, which it obviously couldn't be. As far as Go Mode items, perhaps the boots maybe, or something of that ilk.
Flippers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, looking at that, Flippers is a possibility. Bow's a possibility as well. I believe we've been into Desert Palace and it's not boots locked, so I would say boots is a possibility. If boots is needed for something else outside of a dungeon, I think if there's an item, say in Bonk Rock or King's Tomb.
Looks like apparently Big Key is on on the torch. I did not note that, so I wasn't aware. So we do have boots lockage in Desert Palace. So goes that thought. Ganons, we're seeing a Skull Woods dive here for Ganons here, getting one of the 2 items here in the form of that 50 rupee drop there out of that first chest. Let's see if any of the other locations provide the second item. There's the Big Key, not the small key needed to forego the bounce house that Ganons is going to have to clear to be able to continue on through this dungeon.
On the other hand, with the hook shot and bombs, I think Ganons will be quite fine just going ahead and bomb jumping across the gap to get to the chest. So having that big key there and being able to check that right now is always a nice thing to find in Skullwoods, because you get that right out of the way here.
Absolutely.
And there's the small key. Right when you don't need it anymore.
That bomb jump looks good for Ganons, and is. Let's see what we got here in the big key chest. That is the second item. That is a piece of heart. So Skullwoods is effectively cleared, save for clearing out the Guardian. But that's all the items that we're going to get out of Skullwoods for this seed.
Indeed, and Mothula cannot be accessed right now because you still need a fire rod to be able to burn down the entrance to the back half there.
Meanwhile, Cobb dealing with the rather aggressive enemies on this screen to reveal the 50 rupees at the Bumper Cave ledge, and is going to be on his way towards the village of Outcasts, presumably, or nope. Anyways, we have Ganons going to the Sea House to get a piece of heart. Looks like Cobb is going to make a similar play into Skull Woods, perhaps just to get into a dungeon before he meets a very untimely demise outside of one.
Correct. And with the Aga portal open, I believe our runners will just teleport back to the top of the Pyramid of Power.
And there's flippers
Ooh.
in the brewery for Ganon. So there's one of our pedestal perspectives gone right there.
Yeah, we're down to Meyer Medallion if it's not Ether, or Bow at this point.
So Cobb in the process of his Skullwoods clearance, echoing what Ganon's just did minutes ago. Ganon's just getting some more money out of the chess game, going to be making a dive Independent Thieves. We'll see if just the first four, or if he elects to go a little bit further in.
Having the hammer will allow a full clear here, so that will be helpful if Ganon decides to go the full clear route. We'll be able to get that big chest in the back. There's the big key. And while Cobb's getting the small key, can I grab the heart here?
Cobb completing his Skullwoods completion here. Ganon's getting yet another big 20 out of the front of Thieves here. Let's see what this last chest contains. Just the small key. So, and it does look like that's going to be all for Thieves for Ganon's.
Still, there's 3 items in the back, but of course we don't know what they are. Don't know if we will know what they are if our runners decide not to dip back in.
Ganon's going to dip into the digging game here and wrap around to Stumpy, and that's going to be more or less... Well, no, he can check K45 as well, excuse me. But that is going to be the end of that loop for Gans, and we are still looking for a lift upgrade at this point for either of our runners at this juncture here. Let's see how many digs it takes to reveal the contents of the digging game here.
Yeah, you got to be thinking there's got to be a lift upgrade somewhere around here. This game is being particularly nasty with that, or a seed, I guess I should say. Very nasty with the lift upgrade location here. There's the bow. Okay. Sorry, guys. I know you really want that ped seed, just like every other time.
So,
but not looking too good right now.
All of a sudden, the Pod Eastern Palace combo looking rather appetizing, I would have to imagine, for Ganon's at this point. With that bow collected here, we'll see Cobb go ahead and open up Thieves Town. Gonna enter in. Be interested to see if he makes a similar routing decision here as far as how far to go in Thieves here.
Just a little bit of love up on K45. We'll get to see what Stumpy has. So, Stumpy, are you going to disappoint me again today? You almost always disappoint me, Stumpy, with your 5 rupees or your arrow upgrades. Don't let me down, boy. Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, it's in the end, all you need is love, says Stumpy. So that's just a hard container from Stumpy today. Looks like let's see if Ganons goes ahead and makes the stroll over to the pod portion of the Dark World here with the bow, the lamp, and the hammer. All the pieces necessary here. Going to go ahead and dip towards this portion here. Let's see where he's headed here.
So here's an interesting possibility for Ped. It's still a medallion, but Bombos and Fire Rod is inside of Ice Palace.
That is quite the possibility there. Ganons looks like going to like to go into Swamp rather than Pod with the flippers. Perfectly understandable route choice, and it does look like Cobb is going to go ahead and check the back here of Thieves. We'll see if that pays off for him.
Very interesting. And we definitely don't know what's on the pedestal, so it would likely be one of the medallions if it's going to be something that's needed here. Either way, both runners completing dungeons, and that's probably pretty good. The way that V29 seems like to put a lot of stuff in dungeons. Still, I know it's a little more balanced with putting stuff in the overworld, but always seems to be that once you get most of the overworld stuff, the dungeons seem to be the place to go for progression.
So far, Cobb just getting the map of Thieves Town out of the top floor room there that you must bomb in order to be able to instigate the blind fight. Meanwhile, Ganons is going through the standard process that we love oh so much of proceeding through Swamp Palace.
Chat pointing out a good point that yes, Bombos on the tablet would lock Fire Rod behind T-Rock, so yeah, that would not be possible. Dang it. I got a little too ahead of myself there. So in theory, it would have to be Quake on the pedestal then.
And without a glove upgrade, Cobb having to defeat the enemies of the room to unlock the left door to be able to access these locations here. Going to go ahead and check this before blind, which you don't see that often, but let's see, did he not have the big key?
We should have, though. He should have the... I think he just needs the room to reset.
Oh, never mind. Blind is going to be checked before the big key. And we have the red boomerang.
He's got all the of the dungeon items out of there, so that is an item. Okay, yeah, he's just wanted to reset the room there real quick. It's the boots. Ooh, that is a good call.
Wow, with well, Desert Palace is boots locked, but that's a pendant. So right now, boots requirement may not be the case, but still, that'll put a little bit of a pep in Cobb's step here for the remainder of his seed.
And Bombos just showed up in Swamp Palace, so there goes that idea. It is kind of down to Quake being on pedestal and being required, so we'll see. And a boots play could be kind of a problem for Ganons if there's something in King's Tomb or Bonk Rocks that is going to be required for progression in this game. Something like, say, Ice Rod, Fire Rod. And
a piece of heart to round out the Thieves Town pool. And have a pendant of courage to go along with it. Or is it wisdom? I can never recall. I think it's wisdom, actually.
I think so. Which one was that? Was that the blue one?
Indeed.
That's power, actually. Pendant of power. Which wisdom is I think the red one, and courage is the green one. Very interesting because I believe they changed the colors later for power and wisdom to be red and blue.
Oh, okay. I was not aware. Cobb collecting his bow out of the digging game here. Meanwhile, Argus about to be felled here by Ganons here. With the Master Sword, not able to take care of those puffs in one swipe, so that does kind of elongate how long this fight takes to complete, but I suspect that should not be any big deal for Ganons here, as K45 being checked by Cobb and just getting a piece of heart revealed there.
Indeed. Yeah, quick search does indeed indicate that in this game, at least, power and wisdom their colors were swapped for whatever reason, probably just design and whatnot. But in most of the games that have followed, power has been red and wisdom's been blue, including the sequel of this, A Link Between Worlds. They swapped them back.
Good to know. And while that pendant minutia has been resolved here, Argus has been defeated. Just a bomb capacity upgrade at the Argus reward, but a crystal for Ganons. That is crystal number 2 to go along with the one collected at Hera here at the 52nd minute here of this race.
And Cobb is going to be checking out Hype Cave. Probably will dip into, I guess, Swamp Palace. You're here, you may as well dip into it after doing Hype Cave. Picking up that last progressive meal. Of course, there's the heart and the cane burner. So Ganon's now with that Bombos thinking Ice Palace.
No.
Or Hobo.
Well, 2 glove upgrades away from Ice Palace, unfortunately, but we are going to get a Hobo check here from Ganons.
Worst thing they could find on Hobo right now would be a lift upgrade.
And we got some synchronicity going on here, as both of these runners are going to be checking Hobo seconds apart.
This will be interesting. A little bit of high five in here at Hobo. Oh, just a heart. So indeed, aggro was required for this seed.
Yeah. With that high five completed, Cobb going to be warping back from whence he came. Ganon's going to be fluting out. Let's see if Cobb is on his way towards Pod here.
Mm-hmm. Sure looks like it. I think Ganon's may go into Ice Palace here. Or maybe go into Zora? Can do Zora play now? Yeah, Zora play, okay.
I'm sure Ganons at this point is hoping beyond hope that Zora does not provide a glove. He'll be pleased at those results, but not going to be pleased at any other part of this. Getting his respective red mail as well. And Cobb on his way to pay the escort fee from Kiki here, and we'll be surveying Pod here.
Very much so. I wonder if we'll see our runners go into Pod, which is completable, and then go to Eastern Palace immediately afterward. I think that's probably the wise play that we'll see from both of our runners here when they go into Pod, do one first, and come back out and do the other one.
Absolutely, and there's the big key in the first chest. So this would have been bow locked had they decided to come in here before the digging game. But with the digging game completed, Cobb has the ability to go ahead and get the right side checked now.
Cobb, you had to go to the right side. It's bow locked. Good, caught up to it. Good, he caught up to it. Okay. Yeah, there's still 5 items to find here in Palace of Darkness. A lot of them probably will be in the back, so lots of opportunity here to hopefully pick up some needed progression items at this point.
Yep, there's guaranteed to be 4 small keys here in the the front portion of pod here, and we had one of those the big key location there. So 4 of these 5 locations here are going to see small keys here. So wouldn't be surprised to see 2 of them right here. But see if I'm crazy or not by saying so.
Yes, the with what they've got, the glove upgrade could be actually in Bonk Rocks or King's Tomb because they do have access from the Dark World to bypass the darker rocks. And now Ganons is going to go get that Cane of Samaria. Nice bonk there from Cobb, bonking back up onto the platform. Very nice routing.
Mm-hmm. Walks out to reset the enemy positions here, and we'll be on towards the back. We're going to get a Spike Cave check along with that Cane of Samaria pickup from Ganons. Let's see what we have here in the Cave of Spikes.
Very, very interesting play here. Not necessarily a bad one since you're already up there. Might as well start knocking out some of these hard-to-get-to locations. Use that Cannon Burna. Nope. Finish. Oh, he needs the glove. That's right. Whoops.
This is a crash course in what is locked behind a single lift upgrade for both of our runners at this point. That passed my mind as well. So, and speaking of which, there is our first lift upgrade. Some frustration slashes in response from Cobb, but little does he know that he is the first to enjoy that luxury.
Oh, I cannot blame him for being frustrated at 57 minutes to find your first lift upgrade. This seed.
And have another. Why not? Sure.
Oh my. No. Oh, the seed. That is not kind at all. Oh my goodness.
Well, you went without gloves for so long, so let's just go back to back to average it out. So yeah, that's both lift upgrades in pod, which was bow locked, by the way. So this seed was basically get to Spike Cave, or excuse me, to the digging game that roundabout way, then go to pod, and now, okay, now you can now lift it to your heart's content.
So Cobb gonna go ahead and just go to the back gear, take care of Helmasaur King, get that crystal.
So that instant upgrade from 0 to 2 in the glove department just opened up a rather substantial amount of potential checks now for our runners. So it'll be very interesting to see where these guys decide to go from here. Dark World Death Mountain potentially, perhaps Ice Palace is now in the cards. It could be any number of potential opportunities here with that giant change in the nature of this seed.
Absolutely. You're going to find a lot of possibility here with, routing and decision making based on having both of those lift up upgrades. You've got, let's see here, just thinking about it. I don't think we know what's on Turtle Rock, but presumably if it's Ether, you can get it into TR. It's a pendant dungeon, so I don't think we'll see our runners do that. Meyer, we'll probably be able to get a Meyer check now, which will be nice. Desert Palace, the other pendant, is also actually completable. except we know that based on what is out there, actually, yeah, based on we know what's out there. If it's not Quake to get into Misery Mire, we don't really need to go into that pendant pedestal pole madness.
Meanwhile, right as the clock strikes an hour, Cobb some very deft archery to defeat King Helmasaur and get the second of 2 boomerangs as a reward.
Indeed. And happy Sunday to everybody. Saturday. God, I meant to say Saturday, and I forgot. It's too late. Too late to remember the days, but we are having a little bit of Rando After Dark here. Welcome to the stream if you've been watching. Very interesting race so far between COB and Ganons, where the mitts are in Palace of Darkness, one after the other. So going from essentially... Oh, he's gone back in and picked up the Tempered Sword as well. Very nice.
Yep, and that should be the last of the items here for Cobb. Very wise of him to revisit and make sure everything was clear. He gets rewarded with the Tempered Sword. So that's a sword upgrade, both glove upgrades in Pod. So Pod definitely the dungeon of choice thus far. And there's Ganons being rewarded and providing a bomb in response to that back-to-back glove upgrade. So both runners expressing their opinions on this steed quite clearly.
Indeed, it is a Value Palace in full effect here tonight with that sword upgrade and 2 lift upgrades. And now Cobb is going to be going ahead and finishing out Eastern Palace. Can play that kind of presumed that would happen here because you've cleared out most of it. Just got to go get that crystal off the Armos Knights. Relatively easy and quick to do.
Absolutely. Cobb needs to be cognizant of his arrow count here, but there are no shortage of ammo drops along the way here for Cobb, so that shouldn't be a major issue, but that is going to leave him a little light on the arrow department once the Armos Knights are defeated here. Something to keep in mind potentially later on down the line. Meanwhile, Ganons is progressing towards King Helma like Cobb did moments ago, and will be completing Pod. Hopefully, note to return to get that sword upgrade.
I hope so. If you get a silverless Ganon fight here, you don't want to do it with Master Sword. You'd rather do it with Tempered. So finding a Tempered, even without finding the silver arrows, would be a definite kind of sigh of relief. You don't have to do the very long pain in the butt Master Sword silverless.
Absolutely. Cobb getting more than enough ammo drops here to take care of these Armos Knights, setting up for the quick Armos kill. Looks good so far. Let's see if it finishes out. Oh, it just gets that little poke from that Armos Knight, but otherwise a very well done fight. Gets the last item in the dungeon map, but collects the Eastern Palace Crystal.
Indeed, that's crystal number 3 for Cobb, so lots of stuff still open here. We've got, let me just think about this here. Swamp Palace for sure. Again, this has already completed it. Mire, possibly, depending on... Oh, we're going to get a Mire check too, so hold on to your pedestal butts.
Yep. First use of those Titans mitts on full display here from Cobb. We're going to see, we're going to survey the Mire region here now that we have the ability to do so. And the medallion is Bombos for Mire.
Yeah, that's a dead ped. But it does mean that Swamp Palace is actually going to be required before you get to Misery Mire. So Ganons has that slight advantage having found the Bombos in the basement of Swamp Palace.
Let's see what Checkerboard Cave has for Cobb here as GanonsGoneWild is taking care of Helmasaur, taking his digressions out on the wall there briefly, but there goes King Helmasaur for GGW.
Yes, indeed. Ganons did skip the left side of the swamp as well, so I'm trying to make a decision here about where to go next. Gonna go back up to... Maybe gonna go check some of the Dark World stuff? Yeah, I think so.
I would have to imagine so at this point. The item density there, just hard to deny. We may get at least a peek at what Turtle Rock requires. Highly would be very surprising to see a tip at this point, but that may also get revealed as well here. Ganons is cognizant of the remaining item in pod and will be pleased to get this tempered sword, as had been discussed previously.
Indeed. So, I know we had some discussion in the chat. I mentioned that Fire Rod. I talked about Fire Rod being in Ice Palace and possibly even in Turtle Rock in that first chest. Now, there is a possibility, depending on the key layout, that you could end up going far into TR without having to actually go through those two right side chests, depending on how the keys are laid out and where everything's located at.
Yeah, it has to be a very specific key layout to have that be the case, but it is possible. But we shall see here as we're going to get a Super Bunny Cave check while Ganons is proceeding through Eastern Palace as well. Let's see what we have here in the Super Bunny Cave. Just a little piece of heart. And our first of 3 shield upgrades. So there's a board to go along with that sword.
Indeed. And the other possibility would be one of those early chests in TR having an item like, say, the mushroom, the powder, any of the fetch quest items, the shovel, and then that leading to Fire Rods as well could certainly be a possibility.
Well, we just peeked, and Ether is the Turtle Rock Medallion, which is in both of our runners' possessions. So if they were so inclined, they could at least take an introductory glance into Turtle Rock. We're going to get the Hookshot Cave, understandably, before any of that is considered. Piece of heart, a second bottle containing green potion, a hoard of 300 rupees, and a less impressive big 20. Looks like COB is heading over to do his own Spike Cave check, this time with the ability to actually lift the ending stone.
Indeed, so me slashing to try and get that fairy. Doesn't find one, unfortunately, but Ganon's gonna make very quick work of the Armless Knights.
And there's the Eastern Palace Crystal for Ganon's Gone Wild. Let's see what we have here at the end of Spike Cave for Cobb. It is just a heart container.
Well, a heart's not bad, but probably not what you want to see. I feel like you'd really want to see something that provides more progression.
Looks like we are... Looks like an Ice Palace play here from Ganon's Gone Wild.
Gonna use that bombos to crack open Ice Palace here. Cobb's gonna need to go find that that bombos in Swamp Palace, which will not only give him Ice Palace potential to open that up, it will also open up Mire as well.
I think he nope. Okay, I thought maybe she released that bombos a little too fast, but nope. That Freezor is down, and Ganon's is allowed to proceed.
Very interesting here. Is Cobb thinking doing the frog, the chest, and the hammer pegs?
Looks like it.
Yeah, I would think probably if both of our runners have been keeping track of what they've got, they very likely know that they don't need to go to pedestal for anything, just based on the way that the logic works.
All right, so we have a piece of heart in Ice Palace. That's one of the 3 items here for in the pool for Ice Palace. So that's one down for Ganon's Gone Wild as Hammer Peg's being checked here by Cobb on his way to reuniting the blacksmiths.
Just a big 20 in Hammer Peg Cave. Get to see what the blacksmiths are crafting up here. Presumably we'll also get a chance to check and see what's hiding out in the purple chest. In fact, we may actually see that and then see Cobb go ahead and do Swamp Palace. That would make fairly good routing sense.
Absolutely, and wow, it's good help does not pay these days, says the blacksmith. There's just your 1 rupee for your trouble. And Cobb is now going to be collecting the lunchbox, as it were, and taking that towards its rightful owner. Meanwhile, very nice Ice Palace bomb jump over on the right side of our screen from Ganon's Gone Wild.
Indeed. It's a skill that's very important to learn, but it's also very fun when you execute it properly.
Let's see if we get King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks checked here. I'll be curious to see if the Lumberjack Ledge gets checked now with Aghanim defeated and the boots now in Cobb's possession. That could be a huge payoff if there's anything of value there.
And just imagine one of the rods sitting up there. That could be huge.
It's still a mystery, so that could be the case. Fire rod more than the ice rod at this point, but yeah, for sure. And
I think that's exactly what Cobb's doing. Blind Lumberjack Ledge check. So we're all going to find out just what beating Aga will get us. And keep in mind, Ganon still doesn't have those boots. Cannot do this. No, just a big 20.
Yeah, that's not going to be a huge loss for Ganons at this point. But in any case, here that is done. Let's see if we get a King's Tomb check from Cobb as well, as Ice Palace is slowly getting, not slowly, but getting complete here. There's the big key for Ice Palace for Ganons. Let's see if we can route in a check here.
One of the things it could do, though, is having all of those boots locations still on Ganon's tracker could kind of mess with them a little bit. You know, you've got all these things that could presumably be items you're looking for, and you're just missing the boots to be able to go check them all. And it's probably something where you're wondering, where are the boots at? Is there anything in any of these places that are boots locked that I might really need to go get?
Well, there's your fire rod in Ice Palace, because of course.
I hate to say that I called it, but commentator curse.
It is real, yes. So we're going to have Cobb, looks like, making his way towards Swamp. That is going to be exactly what he needs to do to get the bombos to allow Ice Palace to be accessible, to get that fire rod, and complete this rather long and undulating chain of logical events.
Mm-hmm. So then we'll actually go ahead and open up Skull Woods for Ganons to go complete after this. I think that would be I think that's go mode for Ganons actually too. I believe we have everything we need. Oh, we're still missing Ice Rod actually.
Well, it is go mode 21 out of 22 times.
Indeed.
I'm immediately reminded of a practice seed I ran where I was thinking I was good to go, and then what do you know? There was that key on the torch. That was fun times.
Yep, I just had one of those today. So, yeah, assuming that we don't have a boots locked GT, then yeah, Ganon should be in go mode here at 1 hour and 13 minutes, roughly. I was thinking for a moment. I mentioned Ice Rod there, and I was just thinking for a moment, like, oh yeah, Turtle Rock's a crystal dungeon. I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's not. So yeah, Ice Rod is not needed. My apologies for that.
Oh, trust me, I'm the master at misidentifying dungeons, so you'll get no reprieve from me here on that. That's for sure. Ganon's gonna go ahead and start his go mode tour of the remaining dungeons, starting with Meyer, using that bombos to access, and just gonna be on the lookout for a big key at this point, and it'll be straight on to Vitreous.
Indeed, they do. So with that, we're gonna have basically Skull Woods after this for Ganon's to finish up. Having completed all of the front half, just needs to go ahead, go to the back half, take care of Mothula, and it'll be off to Ganon's Tower.
Absolutely. So after that bottleneck from the gloves and pod was cleared, it was a pretty quick completion of go mode here from Ganon's Gone Wild here. So right now I'd have to give the advantage, rather significant edge here to Ganon's here, but Cobb does have the boots, so we'll see if that can allow him to maybe save some time here. But right now, Ganon's clearly the front runner at this point.
Yeah, a couple of small things I think have helped put Ganon's in the lead here, not doing the left side of Swamp and just going ahead and getting that Bombos, and trying to remember what the item was that we were looking for that was in the back of Swamp here.
Bombos medallion, if I'm recalling correctly, but
yeah, I think it was Bombos and something else. Maybe Ganon's just backed out early. Could certainly be the case. I'm just trying to not misremember one item being in a dungeon that it wasn't in.
And there's one of the two items in Swamp. There's the bombs that Cobb was hoping to be at Uncle, in this case, deep in the throes of Meyer. So sorry, Cobb. That's just what the seed had in store for you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Left side just having a progressive shield and some rupees. There's the magic cape rounding out the two items in Meyer for Ganon's Gone Wild. Ganon's more interested in the big key rather than the actual items in the item pool, but hey, Meyer's fully cleared. You got that going for you.
Mm-hmm. So I believe that would mean that there's two, unless he's checked the room that's right to the left of the big chest. I think that would mean it's either here or it's there.
I would agree with that as well here. Let's see if it's vanilla or another flavor for this location of the big key. Cobb now en route to Argus. We're going to see all the chests being checked, I would have to assume. But about to enter the Argus fight with Tempered, so that'll be a little bit of savings over Ganon's Argus fight with a Tempered Sword versus Master, but it's going to need quite a bit more of that to try and ease this gap.
Yeah, so it was located... Oh, I'm actually going to see Cobb go ahead and check the big chest here. Yeah, it was located on the right over here. So if Cobb plays it right, we'll be able to save a tremendous amount of time looking for that big key in Misery Mire.
Ganon's a little bit low on the health. Does have a blue potion, I do believe, so maybe employing that in order to save from taking a much unwanted death here deep in mire.
Yeah, I think at this point you probably want to make sure that you just get through these dungeons as quickly as possible, even if you have to use a safety to make sure that you don't die, because you do not want to go back through Misery Mire all over again.
Looks like Ganon's is going to try as much as possible to preserve that resource in that blue potion. Perhaps probably going to be doing magic cape strats, I would assume. Doesn't have the boots though, so it's going to be limited options for this upcoming Vitreous fight.
Yeah, with only 5 arrows, you're going to have to see maybe a combination of magic cape or Keen Burno with the sword. You're not going to be able to do the straight up arrows for either phase 1 or phase 2 of this. You won't have enough even regular arrows to land enough shots on Vidi once he's gotten rid of the small eyeballs.
Down Argus goes for Cobb, picking up his Swamp Palace Crystal. See if Cobb immediately makes a play for Ice Palace with that Bombos Medallion.
And we know, looking at it from the commentator's perspective, that is the right play to make. He's going to do a check here of Bombo's tablet. Very nicely done on the magic cape strats there.
Absolutely. Using every last bit of the magic available. Vitreous goes down for Ganon's Gone Wild. That is the 6th crystal, as I'm relearning how to count for Ganon's Gone Wild. And Cobb is now making a play for Mire as well.
Indeed. So Ganon's will be obviously making the very quick jaunt over to Skull Woods to finish that up, and then you'll see the climb up Death Mountain to Ganon's Tower.
Very rude welcoming from the opening guests of Mire for Cobb, unfortunately, as he proceeds on to the second room here. And yeah, we're going to have Ganon's Gone Wild go straight for Mothula. Skull Woods, even if he wasn't in go mode, Skull Woods has been fully cleared, so nothing left to do here but to take out Mothula and get that final crystal to unlock Ganon's Tower. See here in a moment if Cobb deviates from the standard routing of Mire to go straight for that big key location. It's maybe a lot to ask. It's certainly our knowledge in play here, and it does look like it's gonna be a little bit for that big key is found for Cobb, much to his chagrin.
Indeed. So we're gonna find out here just where those were. Where that big key in Ganon's Tower is. Just a moment here, as Ganon's himself is making quick quick work of Mothula. So, it's that time once again, everybody. You know exactly what I mean if you've been here a while. If you haven't, we are going to be making our way over to Ganon's Tower real quick. And there's a big key that our runners need to get further up the tower into Gauntlet. So there are 22 possible spots where that big key could be in Randomizer in the basement and the bottom levels of Ganon's Tower. So, you guys can wait a moment. Time to span them. Oh, we have already started. Okay,
Yep.
Good. I just wanted to make sure. I was a little worried. I'm like, guys, don't spam the numbers before we start. It doesn't count them.
Nope, I went ahead and released the hounds, as it were. Ganon's Gone Wild, picking up a blue pod before making his ascension up towards that Ganon's Tower here. Yes, feel free to throw out a guess between 1 and 22. I have gone ahead and thrown out the first number that came into my mind, which was the number 9. If you are a subscriber to any of the Speed Gaming channels or have contributed at least 250 bits, you are eligible to have your guesses enshrined in our leaderboard throughout this tournament. So feel free to contribute your guess with or without that. This is all for good fun. Please keep in mind this is an exhibition, no actual wagering, please.
Indeed.
Cobb on his way towards the big key of Mire here at one of the last possible locations. I don't believe he actually checked Vanilla location. That's going to be a slight savings over Ganon, who went ahead and cleared. Cobb, however, is going to want to full clear this because he does not have all the items for go mode, so he is going to go ahead and do a full clearance of Mire. So any savings that he would have enjoyed is going to go by the wayside, unfortunately.
He actually did check Vanilla location and found the map there, so... Yeah, so that was the only location actually that Ganon did not check, was the big chest itself, for quite obvious reasons. And Ganon's gonna go ahead actually and poke around a little bit, see maybe find a silver upgrade, and only find that my first shield, unfortunately.
Be curious to see if his scavenger hunt extends to the Hookshot Cave or not. See how badly he wants to find these silvers. Going to go ahead and gonna give it a pass. Yep.
Yep. And so for those of you wondering, traditionally, if you would like Ganon to suffer a bit more and have to go get the boots, you're probably gonna want to guess 3. That would be on Bob's torch. Possibly, or 7 if we get a full right side clear.
Yep, a 95.45% chance of go mode right now. We'll see if Ganon's gets the big key or is incredibly unlucky. We do have a small key here in the first 2 chests here, along with a shovel. We'll see. Ganon's electing not to do the right side check, is going to go straight and confirm whether or not he is indeed in go mode or not.
About to get the official confirmation in just a moment. He is.
Massive troll avoided. We will have a big key collected by Ganon's Gone Wild in Ganon's very own tower in this go.
You think he has to know where it is? It's his tower, right?
One would think, but there's 22 items in here. Hard to keep track of them all, I suppose. Magic powder. 3rd bottle with a 2nd magic potion, and there is the big key.
Ooh, number 7.
Lucky number 7 is your winner. Congratulations to those that have guessed that particular choice. And it looks like the closest guest was 8 call from Hacksaw. So congratulations on that near guess.
Indeed. And actually, if you had guessed 7 because you thought, oh, it's going to be a troll after doing a right side clear, you would have been correct. Just in the wrong location. So Ganon's Gone Wild going to be making the trip up through Gauntlet in just a moment here, and Cobb, meanwhile, is going to be checking Pyramid Fairy, but we know, unfortunately, that that's not where the Fire Rod is. It's in Ice Palace.
Ganon's taking a little bit of damage here during this gauntlet here, but with the blue potion at his disposal, plus getting the magic powder while looking for the big key, he has no shortage of options to restore his health at this point.
And poor Cobb went and bought a big bomb to blow up the Pyramid Fairy wall, opens up both chests. It's more bombs. Both chests.
Yeah, Cobb doing the typical thing here of just checking everywhere but where the item is. The seed is just not playing nice with his routing decisions at this point. Not really anything that's technically incorrect what he's doing, just everything everywhere he goes is turning up empty, and that's the bane of anyone trying to do a randomizer quickly.
And heck, too, it could just be even a thing where you forget just for a moment that you can get into Ice Palace with the Bombos tablet, the Bombos medallion.
So Ganon's did use up his blue potion there in the final moments there of the gauntlet, and running a little low on magic, but has 2 magic potions, and there is no shortage of magic drops to help your magic count. And there's one from one of the Wiz Robes, so even there, then further assistance in the magic field.
Indeed. So there will be, once Ganon gets through this next room, there's a full refill in one of the pots. So he'll won't have a problem once he just gets through the torch lighting room here. And use the lantern to save a little bit. And it should be alright. And now Cobb making the play to go into Ice Palace. We'll get the Fire Rod and be in go mode.
Finally gonna come across the progression Cobb has been so desiring, and isn't aware of this, but probably going to be a little too late, I'm afraid. Ganon's, and there's the silvers for Ganon. A very fortuitous check of all with 15 plus items sitting there in the first floors of Ganon's tower. To find those silvers there is quite fortunate, and not that was necessary for Ganon's, but that's certainly going to make this Ganon fight even more of a trivial matter.
Indeed, that was just a really... That had to be like a really good guess, just at this point. I'll just open whatever's in this chest. Oh, falling a little bit on Choldorm, but still quite ahead. Gonna need a lot of falls at this point for Kyle to be able to catch up, having to go through, Ice Palace and the rest of Skullwood still, and even, getting to GT itself.
Ganon's leaving nothing to chance, using that magic K to ensure Mothula gets... Moldorm, I've done that twice now, is felled for the second time, and we are going to see the last check. Hey, there's the Quake Medallion to round out the trio of medallions for Ganon's Gone Wild.
It's alright. I did the Mothula Moldorm mix-up earlier, so... Happens to everybody.
Some more so than others, I can attest to that. Ganon's now just a couple of rooms away from Aghanim 2. I'll make sure I identify that boss correctly. And from there, we'll take flight towards Ganon and round out the seed at around 100 minutes. So very impressive here from Ganon's. No less impressive from Cobb, just the routing just happened to favor Ganon's Gone Wild. And very difficult first phase there for Aga 2, but getting a one hit there. And that's a very nice double to follow up with that.
Indeed, I hope that those both didn't hit at the same time. Otherwise, they would probably just register as one, which is the game doesn't like when you do two things at once, and it simply says, "Okay, I'm only counting one of these." Unfortunately, get hit by one of the phantom fireballs and missed on a nice little swing there.
Not very favorable angles for this Agatu fight, but there is the 6th and final hit on Agatu, and some frustration slashes to go along with the victory. And we are going to take flight back to the pyramid and confront Ganon for the last fight of the seed. With Tempered Sword, 12 slashes advances the fight to its next phase. Ganon's had the opportunity to utilize the upper right corner there to take care of this phase in one cycle, but no matter. Ganon's is on to phase 3 here, utilizing the hookshot to avoid multiple fire bat hits there. Very well done.
Getting a torch glitch.
And why, yes, Ganon, we did happen to find silvers in your tower. Here's one in your face, and here's a second. Oh, inadvertently switched to the normal arrows, and those aren't effective, but gets back to silvers. There's the third hit. Does not... Oh, that was a very near fall for Ganon's, but avoids the untimely fall. And looks like, yes, indeed, that is the final silver into Ganon, and that will be the victory for Ganon's Gone Wild. GG to Ganon's Gone Wild.
Indeed, GG. Gonna have a really nice time here, sub 140. Once he crosses through that door, we'll get an official time for you in a moment.
Yep, Ganon's Gone Wild has a finish with an official speedracing.tv time, 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 36 seconds. Well played to Ganon's Gone Wild. He will improve to 4-1 in this tournament. Unfortunately for COB, he will be going to 3-2 at the end of this race.
Indeed, get those GGs in there, everybody, for a very well executed race from Ganon's Gone Wild. Well done. Very, very nice, very clean.
Indeed, GG for GGW.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, welcome Ganon's Gone Wild. Well, congratulations on your victory, and very impressive run all around.
Thanks. I felt like I got pretty lucky a few times there, but yeah, it's overall pretty good. I don't know. I screwed up really hard early game with the just not having the gloves. I'm not used to that.
Yeah, I think we got to ask about that. You just around an hour in, you dip into pod, and you find both gloves one after the other. What the heck were you thinking about when you found that?
Ah, man, I just was like, wow, really, game? Really? Like, come on, man. It was like bow locked pod, and then you're gonna put both lift up periods there? Like, come on.
Absolutely. After a forced AGA to go along with it as well. So yeah, this seed for the first hour was quite the slog there. But once those gloves were revealed, it was pretty smooth sailing for you, having already cleared Swamp Palace, giving you the bombos necessary to get to Ice Palace to get that fire rod for go mode. Any thoughts on your routing or anything that you things you thought you did well or regret at this point with the seed now in the rearview mirror for you?
Yeah, I should have went to pod a little bit faster once I got the bow. I thought it was a pendant for a second, and then I realized, like, oh wait. So then I went to Spike Cave, and I didn't like have the gloves. I was like, oh, whoops.
Yeah, that was a revelation. I'll speak for just myself, for me as well. This was definitely a crash course, and what is locked behind Tier 1 gloves, for sure, for a good 57 minutes. Spike Cave included in that collection, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a seed like this last week too. It was like exactly the same kind of thing. I had to use the flippers in Dark World. I didn't have a lift upgrade. It was like, this is crazy. I made like the same mistakes too. I guess I just don't learn.
Well, it's a variation of a seed that you, despite your experience, you don't see that often, I wouldn't think. But yeah, it's can't hold that too much against you. It's rare you see at least one glove upgrade held back for so long, for sure. So tough to be too harsh on that front, as we see Cobb entering the Mothula fight for his final crystal, and will be proceeding to Ganon's Tower shortly thereafter, after this rather accelerated kill of Mothula.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, you know what the pedestal had now? It was just a bomb upgrade.
I felt I got pretty lucky with just item placement in general. Like, I went back into pod for one item and got a sword upgrade, and then the silvers and Ganon was like just some random chest I checked at the very end.
Yeah, we found that that was quite an entertaining find, to be sure, considering what all was left with that rather quick big key discovery. That was a very fortunate find of silvers. Probably not a huge deal, but certainly not going to pass up silvers when offered, to be sure.
Yeah, the other runner mentioned in chat that he didn't find bombs in Escape. That must have been really rough for him.
Yeah, Cobb was definitely without sword or mirror for quite some time now. Given the fact that this was an Agaseed, and pretty much all of Light World had to be checked before, although Zora was left unchecked before your Aghanim time, dive, if I'm recalling correctly. But yeah, Cobb was lacking in those items for, I want to say, a good 20 to 25 minutes before Cobb decided to go the long way back into sewers, not having the glove available to him to be able to just drop down and get those 3 items. So that definitely played a role in the early phases of this race, no doubt about it. So you now improved to 4-1, just needing one more win out of the next 2 to see yourself into the bracket phases. How do you feel about that at this point?
I feel like I was just coming into this tournament, like I hadn't played in a long time, and so I was like, hopefully I just get like 1 or 2 wins at least. So I feel like I'm definitely overperforming, and the next round I'll probably go up against some like one of the top runners and just get crushed. But it's been fun for sure.
That makes 2 of us in that regard, for sure. Not likely going to be any easy matchups at the 4-1 bracket, but based on your performance here, I think you have a very good chance at putting up a very valiant effort at your next race for sure. We see Cobb now entering Ganon's Tower, going right first. Let's see if he elects to check right side or go straight towards the left as you did and get that big key immediately. Looks like Cobb is going to go ahead and check right side. So we'll see those contents. And going to do a swag cane dash there to get that block there. Very, very swag from Cobb. Hats off to that one.
Indeed, very, very nicely done. Well executed here. Gonna check the right side. Start with before making this way over to left side and finding the big key relatively quick on the left side there.
I'm just now realizing, Ganons, that we also share the similar routing of losing week 1 and then running off 4 in a row here. So, yeah, I did not expect that for myself, speaking for myself here. But, yeah, 4 in a row, very nicely done. And, yeah, you're in prime position here to advance on to the brackets here. So, best of luck to you going forward, man.
Yeah, thanks. Good luck to you as well.
As we see the collection and time stats for Ganon's credits here. I want to give a shout out to all of you watching this evening. Thanks for allowing us to provide you this race, and thanks, of course, to our tracker Itaka for doing a wonderful job in keeping track of all the items collected by our respective runners this evening. And of course, thanks to both you and Cobb for allowing us to watch your very well-executed play here. It's been a privilege to commentate this match this evening as well. Thanks to all involved.
Yeah, thanks a lot to all the viewers. It's a great community. Just to shout out, everyone is super helpful. And yeah, if you're new, definitely just get an emulator or get the game and start playing. It's a lot of fun.
Just watching Cobb go through here, just about to hop into Gauntlet.
Yeah, as noted by one of our viewers here, looking back and just trying to think about what really caused this the difference here, your dive into Swamp and getting that Bombos really I would call being the big difference between you two this evening here. That eluded Cobb for some time. He elected to check more overworld locations rather than diving into Swamp, understandably so, but that Swamp dive, getting that Bombos medallion, unlocking the Ice Palace, which got you the final Go mode item, that had to be the difference here. And it was just a situation of routing favoring one over the other. Really, at this point, not a whole lot of difference. It seems like in the executioner skill between you two, but that routing differential there seems to have sealed the victory here this evening. So that would be my assessment at this point.
Yeah, I generally go for the dungeons first. It just feels like, I don't know, on V29 there's just always stuff in dungeons.
Cobb, having completed the gauntlet, now on towards the latter phases of the Ganon's Tower Ascension here, using this Cane of Samaria to great effect, taking care of these Wizrobes, no problem whatsoever. Just a few rooms and floors away from encountering Agate 2, and it's rather annoying angles provided there once that fight gets underway.
Indeed. I've always wondered this, but Ganon's Tower, when you look at the layout, it seems incredibly lopsided for a tower. Like there'd be like little bits hanging off here and there all over the place.
Yeah, 1991 interior video game design. Probably not the strongest of elements back then, but it seems to suit Ganon for his purposes well enough.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a video game. Oh, and actually Cobb's gonna get the silvers there too. Nice. Yeah, sometimes it's really hard when you've got something that opens the game up quite like having both mid upgrades there. You have so much that's open that it becomes kind of, okay, where do I go? I have 5 different choices here. One of them may be the right one, but the other 4 could lead me astray somewhere else. And because you're in a race, you have to make that call in that moment.
Absolutely, and it's just a matter of did you happen to pick the right option, or just pick the right one sooner than your adversary? And we have Agate 2 now underway for Cobb. Very well done by Cobb. That's a very impressive Agate 2 given those cycles. Very nicely done to get that in 4 cycles for Cobb.
Indeed, very nice.
And with Ganon disposing that little tidbit about when you can and cannot hum, Cobb has initiated the fight and will be on to phase 2 here, and will take advantage of Ganon's positioning here to get these spin slashes in to quickly proceed on to the 3rd phase. Once you get that, ooh, missed the torch glitch. Gotta be careful now. But once you get on that phase 3 with the tempered sword and the silvers, it's just kind of wait and let Ganon do his teleporting thing. Just take your shots when you can, nice and steady. Let me bringing this home here. One more shot should do it. Nicely done. Yes, congratulations to COB Lalala, who has gone ahead and joined us here and finishing with a time of 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 57 seconds. GG to you, despite taking second place in this race. Still very well done, and congratulations on seeing this through.
Thanks. Yeah. So, yeah. How about them bombs?
Yeah, that was those mitts. We talked with Gannon about this just a moment ago, but those mitts showing up one after the other in pod at 56 minutes for you. But that was a rough start to the first half of the seed there, wasn't it?
Well, see, that was the problem. Is that okay? Sometimes in escape you don't get bombs. It happens, but I couldn't go back there because I couldn't get gloves. So I literally had to do everything else, including trying to sequence break, because it was faster than going all the way through escape again.
Yeah, a brutal start, not getting the bombs and having the gloves buried where they were, not being able to quickly drop down and get back to those locations. And with those items having the mirror and the sword, definitely, putting myself in your shoes, I would not be pleased, putting it simply. Now, it ended up being a 4 stagger seed, so pretty much all locations from both of you guys were checked prior to the dive to Agnum, and it was still relatively close. I do recall at that point, but yeah, that was a very unfortunate start. And as you said, sometimes just the bombs are just not going to get to you, and unfortunately, just got to roll with that and see what happens from there forward.
Yeah, the only thing that I knew that if he had bombs in escape, I had lost pretty much then and there. I mean, because you're talking about at least 5. You know, if all other things are equal, it's a 5-minute walk. But then lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. At this point, obviously the bomb situation first and foremost on your mind, as that was the first thing this seed threw at you, and then of course we had the whole ordeal with the gloves all being buried in pod, along with the tempered sword upgrade, one of the third and final upgrade that we ever found in this seed. As the seed is finally in the rearview mirror for you, anything else come to mind, or anything that you felt that you did well or wish you had done better at this point?
It's a little hard to say, because honestly, I've never ran into this situation where you don't get those bombs and your only progression is in the back of escape, and you can't get gloves prior to that to make it a quick return.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, what I was going to say, I now remember, with the amount of guards and rats and snakes that I farmed, the only thing that I could think of that was like, okay, I might be okay, is if, and I didn't even know if this was possible, I know that the drop table, the prize packs are randomized. I don't know if it's possible that bombs are not in those 2 prize packs.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't say for sure one way or the other. I'm not too knowledgeable on the nuances of the drop tables. If I'm recalling correctly, I do believe your opponent, there was a bomb drop off of a single bomb from a green guard, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been about 2 hours now, so I'm not. So
Yeah, that's
Wow.
correct. It was the green guard in the on the floor that had the ball and chain guard. So that one green guard had a
Wow.
bomb drop.
Yeah, because because the rats and the green guards are in the same drop table, so wow, that was some bad RNG because that's a lot of them I killed.
yeah, certainly did not get a bomb for lack of trying, to be sure. Yeah, that was incredibly unlucky. But again, as stated in the chat, I honestly, it didn't seem like it impacted you, at least by the way you played. It didn't seem like it affected you all that much. Obviously, it was probably on your mind the entire way through, but honestly, I felt you played very well despite what the seed threw at you there, and it was a privilege to watch you guys race, and it was a fun race to commentate. And thanks a lot for allowing us to take part in this. It's been a very fun race to watch and commentate.
Yep, it was a lot of fun. GG's Ganons. That's a great time, especially in Agaseed, but in general, that's just a great time. Is that close to a PB for you?
Yeah, I think my PB was 1 hour 29 minutes, but it was set in the run where the current world record is. So this is like my second best.
Nice. Good for you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, GG. Sorry about the escape. I've never actually been in a race where that's happened, to me at least. It's incredibly uncommon.
It is what it is. That's how the rando falls.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to go ahead and start to bring this to a close here. I'll offer the floor to you guys for any final thoughts before we go ahead and call it a night here.
Just good luck in the next round.
Yeah, just good luck, and thanks for all the viewers and all the people that contribute to the project and the community.
And thanks a lot, gentlemen, for racing, and congratulations to the both of you, and best of luck in the final 2 weeks of this Swiss stages here. Neon Tiger, any final thoughts from you before we go ahead and call it?
I enjoyed the seed. I enjoyed commentating with you, CD. It was really fun. Just make sure to follow both of our runners, COB and Ganons, as well as, let me get this going here.
Yes,
Follow
absolutely.
the commentators. Do it now.
I was gonna say follow our wonderful tracker Hitaka, as well as the commentators, myself and CDV. So, yeah, I think we've had a pretty crazy little seed here. So it was fun to commentate, get to see everyone's strategies, how they would approach having both glove upgrades so late in the game, so close to each other. Very interesting.
Absolutely. I echo all those sentiments. Please, links are in the chat if you want to give these runners a follow. They are both well deserving of such. If you'd like to see further randomizer exploits from either of them, feel free to give them the file that they have certainly earned this evening. And it's been a honor and a pleasure to be on the commentary with you, Neon Tiger. It's been fun. Hope to do it again sometime. So those of you, there's still plenty of randomizer to go for the remainder of this weekend and on to week 6 here prior to figuring out the 128 remaining runners that will make it to the bracket phase next month. So more randomizer is scheduled. As far as what is scheduled to be broadcast, that's going to do it for today. There is a current race between Zunker to the Rescue and Silly Kyle, likely still ongoing over on Speed Gaming 3. Afterwards, we have an 8 o'clock a.m. matchup between Felix, TC, and Newbie 404 on Speed Gaming 3 as well. And that's just going to start out the myriad of options for your randomizer this weekend. So with Nihon Tiger, I am CDV. Y'all play hard, keep jamming, and we'll see ya.
Good night. Good luck. Good RNG. See you later, guys. Bye.